Hi guys, I'm Pete Matthews and welcome to the Galvanyze guide on how to create your own showreel. Before I get onto the actual showreel creation, I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes to let you guys know where you can find some background music for your showreels. I particularly like Jamendo.com because I found it really easy to make sure that I wasn't breaching any copyrights, and I also liked the way you can search for artists by country. So the way I've been going about doing that is popping over to the search, and as soon as you click into the search box you get a little quick list by genre, instruments and mood. I'm just going to go ahead and choose a bit of house music. If you go to the advanced search and change the licenses to attribution, that filters it for tracks that we can use for free, providing we give credit to the artist that created it. So typically in our case that's on the bottom of the showreel or somewhere on the showreel, a link back to the site where we got the music from and the artist name. I'm just going to filter this down for the UK as well. Okay, so you may have noticed it just then actually. If I scroll down a little, on some of the tracks there's still a shopping basket with a means of purchasing a commercial license. I haven't been using any of those tracks, I just stick to ones that don't have it. It's nice and handy that you can preview the track straight from here in the main list, and I'll do that in a moment or two because I don't want it playing over the top of me speaking. The other thing I quite like about the little player that pops up, and you'll see it in a minute, is you can kind of just skip around inside the track and get a quick vibe on whether you think it's the style of music that will suit. So I kind of like that sound, and I'm going to be using that in my showreel. So all we need to do is, if we hit on the download button there, and we just want to make sure that in this information box here that it's telling us that we can copy, distribute and advertise and play as long as we give credit to the artist. And that's exactly what we need. Just hit on the free download. Okay, so let's get cracking with the Galvanyze guide to creating a showreel with iMovie. The first thing I want to do is just create myself a new library. It just helps keep things nice and tidy to the left here, particularly if you start using iMovie a lot. It can get a little bit busy over there, so I'm just going to set up a little library or folder for this called Showreel Tutorial. The next thing I'm going to do is create a new movie. And there are various themes that you can have a play around with, but for a showreel we don't need any theme, so we'll just leave it as no theme. Let's just call that Showreel Tutorial as well. Okay, so now we're ready to import our images and background songs, and we just need to click Import Media. Now I've got everything that I want to import here, but if you had a folder with a few things in and you didn't want them all, you can, holding the Command key, you can select and choose some at random, but I don't need to do that. I'm just going to import them all. Just give iMovie a second to work its magic on the import. I'm just going to move to the top of the things that I've just imported. So I've got some photos here of when me and Ken were doing some work on the canopies and the TV screens. So I've just, whilst holding the shift key, clicked on each of those photos And now if I click and hold, I can pull them into this timeline underneath. So we can see if I just hover there, it's showing me 4.0 seconds. So that photo will be on screen for 4 seconds. And when you drag photos in, iMovie automatically applies an effect. So I'm just clicking at the beginning of that photo, and I just like to use the space bar to play and pause. You can do it from here too, but I just find it easier to use the space bar. And in the preview window there we can see iMovie had automatically applied a zooming out effect. So if I click on this photo there and go to the crop tool, the effects are really controlled by this start and end box. So the smaller our starting box, the more it will zoom into that part of the image. So let's just zoom in a little bit on Leon there, and for the end let's just stretch all the corners out so we can see the whole photograph. Again, if I just click up here to place that little timeline at the beginning of the photo, we can see it zoomed in on Leon, and if I hit the space, zooms out to the full picture. And we could do that the other way around. Again, I'll just click on that photo to give us the cropping tool, and we could do it the other way around. We could say, well, let's start with a wide angle. Click there to pick up the end shot. So you just need to click inside these squares to select them and pinch the corners around. And if I click and hold, I can just pull that camera angle around. Again, click at the beginning of the photo, hit space, and there we go, zooming in. And it's just a case of going through each of your images, clicking on them, hitting the crop tool, and positioning the start and end camera angles as you like. Now, when you're choosing your photos, try and use ones which are a really good quality and a high resolution. It may look okay in iMovie or on your desktop or YouTube, but don't forget, when we show the reels on the truck, that's going up on a 50-inch screen. So if you want it to look as impressive as it can be, use a higher res as an image as you can. So what I need to do now is I'm going to stretch how long that photo will be on show. So now if I just click at the beginning there and hit space, you can see in the preview window now it's moving much more slowly, giving people more of an opportunity to take in the image. Now don't worry if the image looks a little bit grainy or low quality in the preview window in iMovie, because it does improve when you actually come to saving the movie or sharing the movie out. So that's spaced to 10 seconds, that's on 8, so I'm just going to grab the end of the photo there, and as I stretch to the right, pushing that out 10 seconds, so nice and easy on the maths. We've got 6 photos and we did a 60-second showreel, so anywhere around the 10-second mark will do us fine. And that's how we set up the photos. So let's move to the end now. The next thing we want to take care of is that at the moment it just snaps between those pictures, and we just want to make that a little bit fancier. So down here we've got some transitions, which are just like little special effects that we can put between each image. So if you just hover around inside these special effects, you can kind of see the effect it's going to give you. So once you've found one you're happy with, if you click and hold, then just drag down in between each of the photos. Just a little preview there. You can see a little transition kicking in. So we've lost all our media now, but to get back to that page, if you just click on the little clapperboard there, it brings it all back. So the next thing I'll take care of is some titles actually, which are back down here. And there are various titles, and like the transitions, if you just hover there, it should show you the effect that you'll get from that title. There we go. I'm just moving the mouse a bit too quick there. Yeah, you can see the effect that you'll get from it. The one I'm going to use is called the ticker, and as you can see, as it plays, it scrolls a piece of text along the bottom of the screen. And again, I'm just dragging, hold it, click and hold, drag down, drop it to the beginning of the film, and it just puts it in place. Now we'll want this to stretch through the whole showreel, not to the 30 seconds it's set there. So if I just click in there, and then once I get that little double arrowed icon, if I click and hold, I can just drag that out to the end, and you get that little yellow bar indicating that you're right on the end there. So now I'm ready to set some text inside that ticker title, so I'm just going to double click, and now I can start typing in the artist name and the sort of creativity they're involved with, and also going to give credit to the artist whose music we're going to set for the background in a second. And the website that I got it from was jamendo.com. Jamendo.com, and the artist name, I'm just going to put that in quotes, was Rataxes. Just close the brackets off just to keep that separate. And I'm going to put a couple of spaces on the end. I'm going to put 5 spaces on, and I'll come back to why in a second. There's our 5, and the last thing I want to do is just highlight the artist, and I'm going to go up to here where we can change the font size, but I just want to change it for this selection of text here. I'm going to push that up to 80, which works quite well, particularly when the showreel is running on the truck. If you now just click away into a grey area anywhere around here, just to let go of modifying that ticker, and just have a little preview. I'm just sort of hovering along so we can clearly see there that John Smith, he's got the much bigger font size. I need to go back in to modify that again down. It's a double click, and by default all of that text is selected, and it's highlighted all of the text in the ticker. Now if I hit Command C just to copy that and arrow down a couple of times just to get to the end of all our previous text, and I'm just going to hit Command V and just paste that in 3 more times. And now if I just click away just to lock that in, Now the reason I've pasted it in another few times is that if I didn't, then John Smith would only scroll across the screen once, really slowly. Now I've put it in an extra 3 times, we can see we get this kind of continual loop. If I'd have pasted it in 4 times, John's name would have come across the 4 times, but it would just be moving that much quicker. Now back to my media that I imported earlier. Click the clapperboard. Now there's only so much text really that I think comfortably sits on this scrolling ticker at the bottom, and I think it's good to have your home page or email address permanently shown on the screen, so that's always visible. And unfortunately iMovie won't let you use 2 lots of titles simultaneously, so we couldn't have the ticker running across the bottom and then another piece of text, for example up here, where I think it's really handy to have a website or your email address displayed up there permanently. So there is a way around it, as there is most things, and basically what you have to do is have an image file that we can overlay on top of the video. This is a PNG file, but it could be a JPEG file, anything that basically shows what you want to overlay on top of the video. Now if you've got no idea where to start with doing that, don't worry, hang around till the end of the video and I'll show you how you can deal with that. So let me show you how this works. I've got my image, or you can see here it shows it up as a photo, so I'm just going to drag that down into the beginning of the timeline. Just drop that in there, and I'm going to click on it, and we need to change this setting here from cutaway to picture in picture, and we can see that's quite large there, so we need to go into the cropping tool and we need to select the fit option, and if we go back to the overlay settings, now we can position this text pretty much where we want. I do notice though, if you get too close to the top, for some reason iMovie seems to snatch it a little bit and just drag it right up there. I mean, for this here, that's actually not working too bad, but I've had it sometimes where it kind of just misses the top of the letters off. So I'm just clicking and holding and positioning that. If you grab a corner, we can stretch that out a little bit. Now I wouldn't take that any further than halfway across the screen, just try and keep it a little under halfway. It just stops it becoming too overbearing on your showreel. And back down to the image here, so it's being put in at 8 seconds, which we need to make the full length, so I'm just grabbing that right hand edge again, stretching it out. There we get the little yellow bar, so we know we're right on the end there, and you can see as I'm just flicking through that, this is now permanently fixed at the top of the screen. You can see there, as I've moved right to the beginning of the showreel, it's just disappeared, and that's because it's not quite set to the furthest left hand edge, and I think that's fine actually. It's a fraction of a second and it kind of fades in, and the other reason that I suggest just keeping it, just pulling it in from that left hand edge a little bit, because you've got the text that the website automatically overlays on top of your showreel, and then if you've got all of that running in the background, it can make it a little messy looking for visitors. Lastly, we need to get ourselves hooked up with the backing track. So what I like to do sometimes is just pick a point in the audio, and this is how iMovie shows a piece of imported music. I'll just click there and I'm going to hit space. Yep, so you get a little preview. And we know we need 60 seconds or so, so sometimes I'd probably just maybe pick a bit of a low point. And these lines here, as they dip down, it's like a low point in the song. You know, sometimes I just pick a low point. It just sort of fades into the showreel a little bit better rather than at a high point. So if I click and hold now and start dragging to the right, we're looking for around 60 seconds. Doesn't matter if you go over, because we can neaten that up in a second. And just click and hold, drag that to the beginning of the showreel. Now if I just hover that right hand edge, you see the old double arrows, and just pull that in, and it's just snap to, we get our yellow line, we know it's all nice and neatened up. Now also notice that as I kind of get near that right hand edge, there's that little circle appears there, and I get those arrows, and it's telling me there, fade out. So if I click and hold down and drag to the left a little bit, it just fades the music down as it comes to the end of the showreel. And if I do the same on the opposite end, just hover over, drag to the right, the music just fades in. And we're pretty much done. The final piece to do is to just share that out and create the video file. So it's just the share option up here, and I know there's a YouTube option there, but I always choose the file option and check that the resolution is 1280 by 720. You've got a few options in here, but I'm going to go with 1280 720 and hit next. Now we can name the file. I'm just going to leave that as Showreel Tutorial. Hit save and let iMovie work its magic again. This does take quite a while to run through compared to the importing, and depending on how fast your machine is will determine how quickly iMovie figures that out for us. Almost done. Finish. Little notification. So that is it. That is it. Okay, so if you're not sure how to create a little banner like I did on the top of the showreels with the example website address, there's a package that's freely available called GIMP. I know it's a little bit of an unusual name. It can be downloaded from gimp.org, and it works on the Mac and Windows. And if you find yourself really getting into using GIMP and beyond this really basic example that we're going to be using it for, do consider giving a donation. These types of projects are generally community driven and run by not-for-profit companies, and so even if it's just a few pounds, I think it's the decent thing to do and just chip in the pot and keep these projects alive. Okay, so let's get cracking with GIMP. Now the first thing I just want to get to is I just want to make sure that you guys can see the toolbox. It might not be here on your screen, but I just want to make sure you can see the toolbox. But if you can't, if you go to Windows and just click on New Toolbox, then it will appear. So next what we need to do is I need to change the background colour to black. So it's the back panel here. If I click on that and then click and hold in this colour panel, I'm just going to push it up to the top left to turn it black. And then clicking on the front panel for the foreground colour. Same thing again, but we're going to drag to the bottom right to give us white. Then we're going to create a new image. So I'm just going to overkill this a little bit. Let's make it 1500 pixels wide. 400 high is fine for now. Next we want to go to the text tool. Let's just drop that in there somewhere. and put John's test showreel.com, and then if we just swipe all of that, we're going to push it up to 80. Okay. Next, we need to go up to the rectangle select tool, and we're going to drag a box, just click and hold and drag a box around there, and then if we go to image, I think it is, and crop to selection, and then we can export that out in my movies, Showreel tutorial, and let's export that. You can leave all these options as they are, just export, and we can then use that image in our showreel. That's it for the tutorial, guys. Hopefully I've explained things clearly enough, and you know all you need now to go and create your own showreels.